Hi, welcome to a virtual orientation of the Eagle 355 MBQS by Jayco. We're going to start the tour on the outside of the trailer, and then we're going to begin at the front. First thing that we'll look at is your underbelly or pass-through compartment. First, you'll see that we have lighting. We have a handy tire pressure gauge, so you can check that. We have 120 volt power. We have an output for your satellite antenna or cable so that you can watch the TV underneath your awning. Also located here is where you'll find the manual crank. And as you can see here, you will also find your fill tube, or your draw tube, I guess is more accurate, for winterizing, so you can draw with the water pump from your antifreeze. Also underneath here you'll find, right there, is a spray hose that can be used in conjunction with these various quick connect spray ports, as well as the faucet on the opposite side of the trailer, which I'll show you in a moment. Also, while we're here, you will note we have speakers underneath our awning. They can be played with the stereo inside the unit. And there we go. You'll see in the compartment we have your refrigerator. This is your drip tray, and as it says here, always remove your drip tray before you move your RV. Don't leave it inserted. So you pull this out, have a handy bottle opener, and a quick connect hose. This quick connect hose will be connected at this end to the barbecue, and at this end to a port that will utilize the onboard dual 30-pound propane bottles. Currently, this port is closed, so before use, you'll have to turn it to the open position. As we continue around the outside, we'll come to your first 30-pound bottle. The regulator is on the off-door side. We'll make note of an outside GFCI plug. We are pre-wired for a generator, if you choose to purchase one separately. And we have your vented battery storage with room for additional batteries if you wish. Just pull back a little bit here and we'll take a look. Notice that we have a loading light as well as switching here and here for your front running lights. Also of importance, underneath the front is your safety breakaway switch. When this end is attached to the tow vehicle, if they become separated from each other, your tow vehicle and the RV, this pin will be pulled and your trailer brakes will be engaged. Also, if you may notice that from time to time that you go to pull your trailer and the brakes are engaged but it's still attached, it could be that during your hookup or hitch up that you pulled the pin out partially. So just come and take a look and make sure it's fully inserted and inserted properly. Make our way around the front. Now this is where the other 30-pound propane bottle is stored. I've removed it for ease of being able to see where the regulator here. So this side has your regulator. It's a crossover regulator. What that means is it will draw from whatever direction the handle is pointing, which in this case it's pointing to this tank that would be here. So it'll draw from this tank first until the pressure in the tank drops below a predetermined pressure, which is determined by the regulator itself and we can't adjust it. So once the tank drops below the predetermined or preset pressure amount, it will automatically cross over to the other tank on the other side. So what that means is cold nights, if you're running the furnace, you don't have to get out and switch the bottles over manually. Take a look on the other access to your underbelly, and we'll show you a closer look of your spray hose. So also underneath the underbelly, we'll make note of your auto leveling system and your battery disconnect. So the auto leveling system is fairly straightforward, and there are good instructions here. However, I will go over some of the basics for you. In order to engage or start the leveling system, we want to press and hold both the up and down buttons at the same time. So how this works, if I would just drove and park this on my campsite, what you want to do is unhook, pull out, pull your vehicle away, and then hit the auto level. Now what that does, other than automatically running the front landing gear and the other 4 stabilizing jacks, it will also set your hitch height. So when you're all done camping, you're ready to pack up, and you want to hook the truck back up, all you do is hit hitch height, and what it will do is we'll set the front landing gear and the pin so it's at the same level as the last time you hit auto level. That's the height that it's going to set the pin at there. So when you pull away and you hit auto level, it's automatically already going to remember that, yep, this is the height you needed for your truck, so that when you back up it should be right there and good to go. Now you can manually run the landing gear by itself, and there are some indication lights here if things aren't working properly, but you can read those on your own. The basics for what you need to know: come, unhook everything, pull your truck out, hit auto level. It'll take a bit, it'll level everything, and then when you go to leave again, when you're done camping, pack everything up. When you go to hit your truck, hit the hitch height. It'll put it back to the height that you were at when you pulled the truck out to begin with. As far as your battery disconnect, if you're going to be letting the RV sit for periods of time and you're worried about a draw on the battery but don't wish to remove the battery, you can simply engage the disconnect and you'll see the lights turn off and the lights turn on. Continue on with our orientation here. We've got a lot to cover, so bear with me. So we have a switch here for your water pump. Your water pump would be used to draw from your freshwater tank if you're camping somewhere where there isn't a water supply. Also, your water pump would be used to pump antifreeze to the system during winterization. So in order to use this system, you'll see that this side, or this input, is used to sanitize or winterize. And normally when we winterize, we want to do a couple things. We want to bypass your hot water tank. So this valve will do that for you. As it is now, water will feed through your hot water tank. With the valve handle in this position, you will be bypassing your hot water tank, so this is how you'd want to have it for winterizing. As far as these diverter valves, you will see there are various combinations of what the handles can go, and it will tell you what each combination is for. The important thing to note is this will do all your winterization, so draw from the pump, and this side is your city water connection. So if you want to fill your freshwater tank, we would have the diverter valves like this, and we would hook the hose up to this. If you want to use it as a city water connection, you would have these 2 diverter valve handles like this, and you would hook your garden hose from your campsite, from the campground or your house up to here, and it will pressurize your water system as though you're same, and you can use your system the same as you would at home. If you wish to draw from your freshwater tank, you would have the handle in this position, and then you wouldn't have to utilize any sort of hose on the outside, but you would need to have your pump switched on. There's a couple other combinations here. I'm not going to go through every one. You can go through the labeling there and kind of see what's what. Also here, import to note is a black tank flush. So you'd hook your garden hose up to this area input here. So also in this area is where we'll find your input for the satellite and cable TV for the unit. Also here, you'll see we have the connection point for your solar panel and your solar ready connection. So this unit is pre-wired for use with solar panels and solar power. Okay, also in here, you'll see the valve handles and valve location for the black, gray, and other gray water tank. And we'll come over here and show you the output for your black and gray water, as well as the valve handle and your other valve handles. Sometimes they can be hard to find. Next, we'll check out your 50 amp power supply, as well as your 50 amp power cable that will be stored in that front storage compartment. This is what you would connect to the campground power or the power at your home. Now, you will not probably have a 50 amp outlet on the outside of your home, and some campgrounds don't also. So you will be supplied with a conversion block to convert from 50 to 30 amp and from 30 to 15 amp. Okay, as we continue along here, we'll notice that we have the venting for your refrigerator. Now it's important that there is maximum airflow through the venting for your refrigerator to operate properly, so always make sure that these are unobstructed. I also want to make note, on the outside of all your slides, you are pre-prepped for slide toppers. Now what they are fabric that will cover the roof of your slide and helping prolong the life of the roof. They can be purchased separately. Continue along the outside, and we'll come next to your Sanikon system. Sanikon system is fairly straightforward. Bring it out, you remove this cap, and you connect the hose or the cap end to the connection point of the campground's sanitation system. And once you've done that, you would go and open your black water valve, come back here, turn on the pump until it stops coming out, go back, close the valve, open your gray water, and so on. So you do that for each valve. So you continue along the back. You'll notice we have ladder access to the roof, as well as pre-wiring for a rear view camera. The rear view camera can be used with a head unit on the inside of the vehicle, and you can have the ability to see the back of your RV while driving. Take a minute just to point out your wiring harness at the rear if you do utilize the hitch. Now, similar to what we showed you earlier with the outdoor kitchen, there is a secondary propane port that you can use to utilize the onboard propane system if you have an additional barbecue. Now while we're here, I want to make note of this port here with the slide closed. It is the location that you would use to crank your spare tire down if you need to do so. Continue along the outside. We've come back to where we started, underneath your awning. Before we step inside, I'll make note of your little night light here for your under stair light. But let's go and take a look inside and see what we have. And turn back around towards the door and look down. We'll note the unit fire extinguisher, very important. I like the placement beside the door. That way it's quick to grab if you need it for your outdoor barbecue or if you need it for your kitchen. Now as we turn right around, the first thing we're looking at is your bunk room. This bunk room has a couch, has a locking top bunk that you can use To lock that in so you can use the couch a little bit better, you simply pull the pin to release and bring it back down. You also notice that we have an emergency exit inside here. Very important to keep the kids safe. To utilize the emergency exit, and I suggest going through this with your kids if they're going to be in here. So in order to use your emergency exit, you press down on the black tab, push the red handle up and out, bring the handle all the way out perpendicular to the wall of the trailer, and push the red handle all the way out of the trailer. Once it is all the way out of the trailer, you can then pull this red tab on the screen to remove it, and then you can escape to safety. So as we turn around, you can note we have a nice desk and sitting area here, as well as ready for cable and TV with the supplied TV. And we also have a 12-volt connection point here as well. Okay, we'll go upstairs. Make note of your bunk steps. Pretty handy. They actually pull up and out so that they can be used a little bit better, a little bit easier. But so other people don't trip on them, they can be lifted up and stored out of the way. Your alternate sleeping area. But I'll just show that there are two 120 volt plugs, as well as lighting and a port for your AC. Continue along into the bathroom. Very large shower area. Most importantly, we have switching for all your lights and night lights, but we also have your GFCI plug. And we'll talk a bit more about the GFCI plugs once we get to the actual main GFCI plug. We'll continue into your bedroom. We have some different controls here. You can control your slide in and out, as well as some of the lighting in the hall and the bedroom itself. And take a look. Now, some underbed storage at the moment. We have the extra chairs for this RV stored under here in a protective bag. If we turn right around, we'll notice that we also are pre-wired and have the TV already here and set up. But we also have the 12 volt connection point here as well, and another 12 volt connection point here, and USB charging capabilities. If we look down, we'll see that there's an additional emergency exit in the bedroom. It can be utilized the exact same way as the one I mentioned previously. In this closet here, I'd like to point out the pre-prep for drain and plumbing for your washer, as well as shed a little light on the situation, as well as the 120 volt power is pre-wired as well. Have this nice large walk-in closet with a light. And more controls for your lighting, as well as night lights on either side of the bed. Alright, let's make our way back to the main living area of the RV. Well, just inside the door to your left, you'll see this here, and there's quite a bit to talk about here, so we'll do that now. You'll notice here that we have the switching, and that will operate your ceiling fan. We also have your J command, and that is this unit here. Now what this unit controls everything on the RV. There are many different things. You can set it up to do all of your Google stuff. If you have anything through Google, you have your Gmail, you can listen to Google Play Music, your Google Maps, YouTube can all be operated through the J command. But the more important thing that I'm going to show you is this little app right here, and that is the J command app itself. So we'll open that up, and the first thing they want you to do is pair your device. So press this until PA appears. Then it says to click next. Then it says to press the EXT button to connect. We'll kind of continue on here. Once you've done that, that'll allow you to operate everything in the trailer. Now we have switches that operate lights. You'll be able to run all your slide rooms and awnings. Also, what you'll be able to do is what I'll try to show you on my phone here, is pair it with your phone, and you can use your J Command app on your phone, and you can be standing outside of your trailer walking around and use your phone to put the slides in and out. So it's a pretty handy feature. Right above there, before we move on, I want to make a note. This is the spot inside where the wires are all run to, so it will be pre-wired here for a head unit to control your 30 amp solar charging. Continue on in. We'll squat down here and look at your carbon dioxide propane detector. It's important that we test this every 6 months or so. I usually suggest 6 months at daylight savings time, so I would suggest checking your smoke detectors and your carbon dioxide propane detector at the same time. Right beside that, we have your power center or load center for the RV. This is where you'll find your breakers, much like you'd see in your house, and they operate the same. And we also have fuses like you might see in your vehicle. Now these also have a red LED light that will light up to indicate that something is wrong with an individual circuit. So an important place to come look if you are having something in your RV that isn't functioning properly and you feel comfortable enough to do so. The next thing that we'll talk about here is your refrigerator. It's a nice double door refrigerator, lots of room. There are some pretty good startup instructions here, but the basics are, you have your on off button. We have a button that'll cycle between gas and electric, and the way you can tell if it's on gas or electric is there's just a little dot that'll appear in the corner and tell you which one it's under, either gas or electric. Then we have the third button here is your temperature set. If for any reason you find that the fridge doesn't light on the first time, it does make 3 attempts to light. If it's unable to light by the 3rd attempt, it will stop. At that point, if I would turn it off, give it a minute, come back and try to light it again. Sometimes what happens is either A, you've forgot to open the bottles on the front, so there's no propane in the system, or you've just opened the bottles in the front and you rush into, you want to make sure everything's cold, and it just doesn't have enough pressure built up in the system to light the first time. We'll move on to your cooktop. A couple things right off the bat about this. Always make sure you open the glass cooktop before you attempt to light any of the burners. Also, always make sure you close the cooktop before you travel. Not doing either of those things can lead to the glass breaking. So, in order to light the range top or the cooktop, we turn this to the light position so the fire lights up with the little arrow, and then we will turn the sparker knob. You do the same thing for all three. The light position, turn the sparker knob, and the oven is the exact same, with the exception of when it's in the light position, you have to press and hold that knob in while you turn the sparker knob. You will note that you have these switching controls located throughout the trailer in various locations. It is kind of a nice feature. It gives you the capability to turn off lights in some different locations from one spot. I have a pantry that has an auto sensor light that'll turn on whenever you open the door. And we have the main TV of your RV, along with your stereo system here, your entertainment center. Let's talk about your stereo here first. It has a headphone jack, as well as capabilities for an auxiliary port, a HDMI, a USB port, as well as Bluetooth capabilities. This unit also uses a 3-zone system for the speakers. Zone 1 and 2 will be inside the trailer, and Zone 3 will be the speakers that I showed you earlier, located on the outside of the trailer. So what that means is you can play anything, any sound that you're making from this stereo here on the speakers outside of the trailer, out under the awning. What that also means is you can control 3 zones, so you can have all the zones on at once. You can have 1 zone on, 2 zones on. You can have any combination of zones on or off. If we just drop down and make brief mention of your nice fireplace. Now on some smaller units, if you've had an RV before, you may be familiar that when it's only a 30 amp power supply, you have to choose between switching from your fireplace to your hot water tank on electric. With the 50 amp power supply that this RV has, you don't have to worry about that. There is no switch for that. You simply just turn it on and it will work just fine. As we turn around and take a look at the back of the trailer, on the one side of the couch, you will notice that we have USB charging capabilities. And if we go to the other end of the couch, we will notice that there are another set of USB charging ports. Also, the final emergency exit that I would show you is right here, the back of the trailer. And again, it functions the same way as the other two. And take a look at your love seat here, double recliner love seat. And a couple things to note here. One, the lever to operate the footrest is down the side here, and it's located in the same spot on both sides of the seating. Also, you have some controls here for lighting, as well as vibrating and heat. And we'll also notice there is a USB charging port as well. Another handy thing, there is storage in the center console where you can put your remotes. Also, you will see that the dining room table has a leaf, so that when you have any guests, you do get a little bit more space and are still able to walk between the island and your dining room table. Previously, I had mentioned the unit GFCI. Here it is here. So if this is tripped, what you would see would be any plugs near water, counter plugs, any outside plugs you plug in your kitchen would most likely not be operational. I did see that some of them are labeled, so any of the plugs labeled, such as this, with this label, that will tell you automatically that this is part of the load side of the GFCI. And while we have that up, note we have 120 volt power as well as more USB charging capabilities. One of the last things I would like to mention is your smoke detector. We had mentioned it previously when talking about your propane and carbon monoxide detector. I would test them both together at daylight savings time every 6 months. Probably go ahead and just change the batteries. That way you know that the smoke detector is working properly. The last thing I want to make mention of before we conclude your orientation is your thermostat. As all of your thermostat and all of that functioning is done from this unit here. Take a few minutes before your first trip to familiarize yourself with it. That concludes our virtual orientation. I hope you found it informative. And if I did miss something important to you, I would encourage you to give us a call here, and we'd be happy to do our best and get the information you need so you can enjoy your new RV. Thank you.